G'day everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm currently in the studio today with my good buddy Cousin It. You may be wondering why he's here. I'm actually in the set that I created for my Halloween themed workshop last weekend. And I thought I'd talk to you about one of the lights that I used for the workshop. This is it here. It's by a brand called Colbor. The model is the CL100. Now, Colbor did send me this light, but they haven't paid me for this video and they haven't approved it. Now, this is a fairly inexpensive COB LED light. It's 60 watt. And because of its low price, it is on the budget end. And that's kind of reflected in the construction. It's pretty lightweight, and that's mainly due to the plastic construction. So the light is supplied with this handy case. It's a really nicely made case, and it comes with a remote. They also did send me an adapter for a V-Lock battery, but I currently can't get my hands on a V-Lock battery to test out. But I'm mostly using these in the studio anyway, so mains power is fine by me. This is the heavy-duty power brick that it's supplied with. And it just attaches to the back of the unit here with a 3-pronged plug. Now, there is no way of really mounting this power brick onto a stand, so you'd have to jerry rig something for that. And the cable is not particularly long, as you can see. So in terms of the lightweight construction, the only thing that really bugs me a little bit is the stand mount. So this section here does feel like it is made of metal, but the rest of that mount is plastic. And the little ratchet there is a little bit flimsy, but it does hold pretty well once it's clamped down. Also, as part of the mount here is an umbrella socket, and that's how I used it on the weekend with a big umbrella. It features a standard Bowens mount, and this is the supplied reflector, which is pretty handy. There you can see the COB LED array in the center there. Now, this is a bicolor light. It has a color temperature range of 2700 all the way up to 6500, which I think is a pretty decent range, not too often that you would need to go any higher than 6500. And 2700 is definitely low enough on the warmer side. You've got a main button on the back here, which is the power control dial, but it also doubles as the dial for changing the color temperature. All you need to do is press the button in, and that switches between color temperature and output. So if I switch that back onto color temperature now, I'll just turn that down to 2700. Now it jumps in 50 Kelvin steps, so it's not super accurate, but generally accurate enough for most situations. Now, looking at the back of the unit, you do have an on-off switch. Next to that is the mode button, and that switches between the standard color temperature mode, CCT, as well as a number of special effects, which you can just scroll through. Things like candle, bonfire, breathing, faulty bulb, flash, lightning, and then back to color temperature mode. On the other side of the main input dial is the group mode, so you can use these in different groups with the remote control and control them all individually if you have multiple units. And then to the far right, we do have a fan button, and that is to switch between the smart fan mode and the quiet mode. Honestly, I haven't been able to hear this fan kick in at all yet, so it's definitely one of the quieter units when it comes to fan noise. One thing I did find compared to some of the other lights is that at 5000 degrees, it does feel a little bit warmer than what the others are. Now, I don't have a color temperature meter, so I can't actually check the output. Maybe some of the other reviewers on YouTube can do that for you, but it does seem a little bit warm compared to some of the other lights. So one of the first things I wanted to do when I got this light was just test out the output and the range that I could get out of the output. So it's currently set to 0. It goes from 0 to 100% in 5% increments. Clicking it onto 5% and there's still no output, which is a little bit concerning. 10% and you get the barest amount of light coming out. You actually have to go to 15% to really start to get some reasonable output. Now, in my measurements, I did find that at a distance of 1 meter with this reflector, 800 ISO, 60th of a second, 15% gave me an aperture of f1.2. So that sounds like a really low amount, which is actually a very good thing. So every 5% step will give you an increase in output. So it is a linear increase, unlike another light that I'm testing at the moment, which is definitely not linear. So having a light that does give you a linear output is very, very handy. Sometimes you just want that little bit extra light output or a little bit less, depending on what your exposure settings are, especially when you're trying to balance it with other lights. So being able to just change it up or down 5% is going to be very, very handy because you are going to get a change in the output. Now at 100% at 1 meter at 800 ISO, 1/60th of a second, it gave an output of f19, which is not a bad amount. Certainly powerful enough for this kind of situation, YouTube videos, talking head sort of situation where you're videoing one subject with a single light. It's going to give you plenty of output for that. So what I'll do now is I'll swap this light over with my main light that I'm using here, and we'll just see how low that light level can get, and we're going to balance it with these candles behind, just to try and get a nice moody light. Okay, so I've just swapped over those lights. I'm now using the Colbor CL100 as my main light here. It's set to 5,000 degrees COB, and it does appear a little bit warmer compared to the light that I was using just before. Now I've turned the output of the other lights around me down just a little bit, and I'm running the Colbor at 50%. So it's giving me a nice moody lighting. It's balancing pretty well with the candles behind me. So this is where I see the biggest benefit of a light like this. The fact that it can get its power down really, really low is something that's quite handy in this sort of situation. Especially handy when you're trying to balance with other low-level existing lights that are in the scene. So during the workshop, I ran this light as a fill light. I had the power set to around 35 or 40%, and I was bouncing that into a white umbrella. And that just gave me that little bit of boost in those shadows that filled in from the shadows created by the main light on my subjects. I'll put all the specs in the description below if you want some more info, and I'll also put a link to Colbor's website so you can check it out further. On behalf of Cousin Yit and I, thanks for watching. I do hope you got some good info out of this video. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.